Right, can you see that boat?
Yep.
You see how close it is?
Yep.
Now, if you were in a very small anchorage where you had to really pack in tightly and you needed shelter and you had to stop somewhere, you'd just about get away with that. But we're in an anchorage which goes on for miles and has nobody, and yet these fucktards decide that it's perfectly okay just to anchor right next to Esper.
I think over time, over the next few days, the wind's going to come around more to the east, which would be good because we want to get some sailing in, but at the moment we're just having to motor sail. As you can see behind us is a very sort of cloudy Langkawi. We're just going past Taratau now, and then we've got Koh Lipi, the Butang Islands, sort of over there. It would have been nice to have gone over to them, but the problem then, of course, is that we're in the wrong direction to get back up the coast. The engine's purring along nicely, and we were doing 6.5 knots, but that was partly because we had a bit of tidal influence pushing us along as well. But at least the seas are flat, and everyone seems to be quite happy. No, it's not another excuse for gratuitous nudity. This is just to show you that whilst we are motoring, we run the water maker, and the water maker has been performing beautifully, touch wood. So we're making lots and lots of water, and it means that we can have really good showers. Our water maker only makes 30 litres an hour, or between 30 and 35, which is for a 12-volt system pulling 8 amps is very good. It's very efficient. For us on Esper, it's a decent amount of water, so we're nice and clean.
It's 4:05. We left this morning around about 8 o'clock, so we're 2 hours behind when we really had decided we should go. But anyway, we're cracking on and we keep moving the goalposts. So now we've decided we're going to go as far as Koh Rock. No. Yeah, we're going to go to Koh Mook. We've never been there before. It's supposed to be lovely. We're going to get there in the night, but looking at the pilot guide and looking at the Navionics chart, it should be doable. It shouldn't be too difficult. So we're going to carefully plot the course now, and we should be there, what, about 8?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit earlier?
Won't be earlier.
Won't be earlier. The tide's turned, we're getting nearly 6 knots of speed now, not much wind. This is Koh Mook. It's supposed to be one of the most beautiful islands in this part of the world, and we'd never been here before, so we arrived last night with great expectations, and it does look lovely. It's over there, but the rolling is so bad last night that Jamie didn't have perfect sleep. I was out like a light, but it's rolling. It's not very comfortable as an anchorage. So sadly, Koh Mook is going to have to wait for another day, and we're going to move on. We're going to try and find somewhere where it's less rolly, where it's flat, where we can get ashore and just take a breather for a couple of days.
Okay, it's time for some questions, and we are going to make ourselves heard as best as possible over the clunking sounds coming from the shore, because they're building a new hotel on the beach.
They are, and it looks very nice.
Very pretty, yes. So speak up, Elizabeth, please.
I will. Larry Phillips on YouTube says, you've been sailing in a part of the world that experiences earthquakes. I was wondering, since earthquakes can sometimes trigger a tsunami, has Esper ever experienced one? Or would a boat even feel a tsunami when it passed them?
Well, fortunately, Esper hasn't. What tends to happen when a tsunami approaches in anchorages like this, the water will recede and actually get sucked out by the tsunami. So as counterintuitive as it sounds, what you should do is to weigh anchor, lift the anchor up, put the engine on and motor out and face the tsunami head on, because that is a lot safer than being an anchor in somewhere like this as Esper is right now.
In 2004, a lot of boats were taken right into land. They ended up in the jungle, people died, boats were damaged. It was terrible. But a friend of ours at the same time happened to be out for a day sail in Pangnal Bay, which is just north of here, and he didn't experience anything. He remembers seeing a few strange eddies in the water and some odd wave patterns, but there was no obvious rise in the depth, and nothing really untoward. It was only when he got back to Phuket and saw the devastation he realised what had happened. Johnny on YouTube says, how do you keep track of the maintenance items to do and the inventory of the parts on board?
What maintenance? There is no maintenance. This is a maintenance-free boat, Johnny. What are you talking about?
Yeah, of course it is.
No, seriously, when we first started, we diligently wrote a list of all the jobs to be done. Sadly, on a boat, for every one job you think of, there's another 5 behind it. So that job list just grows and grows and grows. So we stopped doing that.
Yeah, we did.
And the job list now is really up here.
Yeah.
Most of the major jobs we did in the boatyard, unless we're firefighting new problems that have occurred, then really we're just staying on top of all the basic stuff. We could be topping up the batteries with water, checking the engine, oil and water levels and so on. And so most of those are really just down to practice and experience, I suppose.
And as for inventory, well, we have one of those. We have a beautiful inventory, which is by alphabet and by area and locker. It's fantastic. All the information is there.
Because she's a librarian. She was a librarian. That was in your dim and distant past. Once upon a time, Liz was a librarian, so she's very, very diligent about everything. So yes, we know where everything is forward of the saloon in theory. Because in the middle of the night, someone likes to move things. So when you go to starboard head locker number 4, where the zip tie, cable ties are kept, suddenly they're no longer there anymore because someone's moved them.
Yeah, it's Millie. She does it all the time. I can never find anything.
Yeah, it's Millie.
Yeah, so, yeah, theoretically, we pretty much know where most things are all of the time. And we do have certain lockers that are specifically for specific things like engine parts.
Specifically, yes.
Snowcat on YouTube says, how much would it cost for a new set of sails for a boat of this size? And how long do they last?
Well, it's like anything really. You pay for what you get. The sails that we have on Esper are made by Hood. We inherited them, so we actually don't know how old they are. We suspect they've got to be at least 15 years old and possibly even as old as the boat.
I think so.
Which is close, coming on to 30 years now, isn't it? Yeah, it just depends how you treat them, how well made they are. I would expect to get 15 years out of them. I think I'd be happy with 15 years, but evidently you can get more. A lot of people get through sails a lot quicker than that as well, though, depending on how you sail and how hard you flog them. Price-wise, difficult to say. Remember, we have 4 sails, and I would estimate anything between $10,000 and $20,000.
Don't want to think about it, but we've got to, because we're not going anywhere until we get new sails. We don't want to go across an ocean with these sails. It's just too dangerous.
Yep.
So we're saving like mad between now and halfway through next year, hopefully, to have enough to get at least 3 of the sails done. And then as soon as we've done that, we're out of here.
Out of here. Liz is beavering away at the computer, making the most of this
crappy day.
And when we say crappy day, we mean really, really crap.
Yeah, it's quite nice now compared to how it was, isn't it, Mel?
Yeah, the weather's been shit, basically. Supposed to have got 25 knots of wind, haven't had hardly any wind at all, so we delayed leaving today, and instead we've just got this rain. It's like being back in England. It's just miserable.
It looks this morning the same as it did last night, and I've just been having a look at the grid files. It's showing a heavy weather system coming up through the Straits of Malacca and heading out into the Bay of Bengal.
First thing in the morning, and today is the day that we really should leave, because we've been waiting now for this horrible front to blow through, so I think we might just get out there. If it's really horrible, turn around. If it's okay, we might go to BE, which is 30 miles away, and if it's a cracking sail, we'll just carry on to Geelong, which is over 50 miles away. But before we do that, I need my coffee, and Millie needs to lick rainwater off of the boat. Making good progress. We have hit 8.8 knots is our record so far. Average speed now is about 6 knots, and we're sort of we're consistently doing about 7 knots at the moment. Still shitty weather. That was a rather splendid sail. We had a cracking time. We set a couple of records, managed to hit 9 knots, not quite a record, but almost. And what was our average speed, do you remember?
I think you said it was 6.3?
6.4. I thought I'd show Liz this anchorage, which she hasn't seen before, you won't have seen before, and I've been here once before. We're on the other side of BE. The other side of Esper Crash Bay.
Yes, indeed. It's lovely and protected here. Nice flat water, good breeze coming through, bit of katabatic wind.
It's a nice spot. Oh, and it's old school anchoring time. We've got how many metres out?
70.
70 metres of chain out.
Well, I've just got a Google Maps app because this doesn't appear on any of our literature, so I thought I would at least have a look at the aerial view and see what's around. We've just met a local guy, local villagers up here. They're all hanging out, the fishermen and the guys on the longtails. We'll see what's occurring. Sailing Catamaran Diving Adventures on YouTube makes an observation about anchoring in Asia after watching our last vlog, 10 Years at Sea. They say, we once had a fishing boat actually anchor on our anchor and basically raft up uninvited. We eventually decided to move as we felt that the situation was dangerous due to the amount of people in close proximity who could easily board our vessel. You never can be too careful. Actually, the people boarding isn't something I worry about.
No, it's smashing into each other, really. Well, and also people falling, if anyone to fall in and you've got two boats close together, that's very dangerous as well. Anchoring and anchors are the perennial subjects that every yachty loves to talk about. You know, you can anchor anywhere, can't you? Yeah. We're sharing this lovely ocean with many other people. Everyone has a right to anchor wherever they want, pretty much. But I think some consideration does need to be given to your neighbour. And in a bay like this, you can see behind us, it's at least a mile that way and it's 2 miles that way. It's a huge bay. It could accommodate many thousands of boats. Unfortunately, there's this thing called herd mentality. And what tends to happen is one boat finds a good spot in a bay. Boat number 2 comes in, and rather than doing what we try and do, which is to anchor at the other end of the bay to stay out of the way, people tend to think, he seems to have a good spot, it's obviously good anchorage, that looks safe, I'll go and anchor next to him. And gradually, and it's happened here now, in fact, as I look around, all the boats seem to be sort of anchored in this little area when there is so much space behind. And this happened a couple of days ago, didn't it?
Yep, it certainly did.
We were ashore and we saw a boat come in at sunset, and he anchored in between us and our friends Fairway, who are just over there. It's all very well if they were a charter boat, we'd understand it, but it's actually a sailing school. The sailing school is sailing school.
What you don't get taught at school, at sailing school, is the etiquette of anchoring. And the etiquette of anchoring is you do not anchor on top of someone else if there's loads more room.
Why? You know, I mean, you've got, oh, look at this space. There's so much space here. Why anchor there? Why not anchor down the road there? The only reason for anchoring close to other boats and close to shore is if you're, I guess, rowing a dinghy,
yeah.
Or it's rough seas and you've got a very small engine and you've got a long way to travel. That, I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But, you know, look at it. Well, it's the last run to Geelong, where we check in. We've left PP and we've got some great winds, broad reaching with anything up to about 20 knots, but averaging about 17 knots true. Average speed at the moment 5.7, so we're doing high fives and low sixes, and of course we're sort of racing down some of these swells which reach up to about 2 meters. Nothing too hectic, but as you turn around here and I turn into the wind, you'll probably see the white horses on top of the waves. Can't make these shots up, can you? Look at this, sunrise just over there and a rainbow right behind me. This is the other side of Geelong. This is the nice side, the quiet side. So I think we're going to stay here for a few days, and in fact the weather's doing funny things at the moment. We're due to go up the west coast, as you know, to head north towards the Burmese border, but there's a big cyclone pushing its way through towards Bangladesh, and it's playing havoc with the sea state and the weather system there. It doesn't seem to want to go away. It's still here, and it's going to stay here for the next few days, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to affect the sea state as we work our way up the west coast. But for the moment we're just going to sit tight and enjoy this rather beautiful view. Ant and Sid of Patreon, they ask, fishing. How much does fishing contribute to your diet?
Oh, whatever it was.
Did you lose it?
Probably.
You definitely had something.
Yeah, it could have. Oh no, I think it's hooked. We definitely caught something. It got away, so I'm very happy with my tackle, as they say. well, gone now. I don't know what to do. Can't feel anything.
She doesn't know what she's doing. Bless her.